Disney decided to drop tonight. They dropped their whole slate of Marvel shows. Ahsoka, Hayden Christensen returning as Vader. Marvel. Wow, they got a lot. They dropped a bunch of trailers for the Disney Plus shows. Fantastic Four is coming. A lot was revealed. Can't wait to break it all down for you. Plus, we got Spider-Man news. A lot to break down. Plus, our special guest, Joe. Let's go.
Yo.
All right, so guys, we got. I want to say we're trying to bring on trying to bring up graphics. We got Joe down here. Joe sorry, this is
Yeah,
Deckelmeier.
it is the
Deckelmeier.
last thing to say. I understand. Joe Deckelmeier from the. How
Yeah,
you guys doing?
definitely. Hey, and you, yeah, Deckelmeier, we got him. We're going to talk to him a little bit later about his career and everything, but he's going to be joining us for the whole show, talk about all this news. We got Josh Ryan. You've seen him in
How's it going, everybody?
videos, seen him before. And of course, we have Matt Hambidge. How's it going,
Howdy.
man? All right, so first, we're gonna briefly discuss this because this is something that came out a couple days ago. Now, obviously, FandomWire reported on everything with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield about 2 months ago, and basically it was confirmed basically by Collider and some other sources. But some other news: Charlie Cox is coming back apparently as Daredevil. Well, Matt Murdock. I'm trying to find out a little bit about his role in it, but still working on that. But yeah, I actually can confirm Murphy's multiverse scoop. They were right. He is coming back. I confirmed by sources. He's coming back. Kirsten Dunst is coming back. Emma Stone is reportedly in the talks. A lot of different people. Alfred Molina is coming back. He's coming back. So that's confirmed. A lot of great stuff. But I don't know if you wanted to discuss that real quick. What are your thoughts? Joe, we'll start with you. What do you think?
Well, starting with me, look, this movie is jam packed, and you can already tell that we're going to lead into our live action Spider Verse. It seemingly seems that way. Sony's setting up their own universe. We already know the Madam Web film is somewhere down the line, and for some reason, I feel like it has to tie in here somewhere. But from what I was reading earlier, I can't remember which outlet reported it, but I think that they said that a lot of these are going to be mostly cameos. But Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Charlie Cox will all have about the same amount of screen time. So it seems like those three characters in general, along with obviously the great Tom Holland, are going to be at the center of the story. So I'm really excited. There's rumors that obviously Matt Murdock is going to be defending Spider-Man in this, which is pretty cool. So I'm really excited to see what. But we don't have a title yet.
Right, and I can sort of prefer the whole defending peer stuff. That's what I'm working on, trying to find out. I've heard that like most of these are going to be very minimal roles, so very cameos, things like that. Like even the Matt Murdock one, I'm hearing is like really really small role, just sort of there. Grace Randolph is hit or miss, what she says. And I've had dealings with her in the past. I don't know. She's okay, I guess. Uh, she basically said, "Oh, he might appear in She-Hulk or something." So I don't know. She's hit or miss for me. I've had some beefs with her, but she's okay. We'll see what happens. Matt, what do you think? Do you have any thoughts on this?
Oh, I'm just gonna jump on the back of Joe there. What he was saying, I'm pumped for this. I mean, ever since it was speculated the first time months ago, whenever that was, I'm really excited. And like you guys both touched on, it does seem like they're going to be more smaller cameo parts, which that was the part I was kind of wondering about, and maybe initially was maybe concerned about if they're going to try to jam pack all these characters and give them, a meaty role, if you will. But I think kind of brief moments, if they're skipping from, universe to universe, just, kind of checking in with these favorite characters from over the years, I think that's going to be a fun way to do it while still fitting into the larger and not really weighing it down with like a novelty cameo. Like they'll serve a purpose while still being a little bit of fun fan service.
Yeah, what I hope doesn't happen here is what they did in Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't want just pointless. Oh look, remember this guy? Oh look, Ezra Miller. Oh great, hi, bye. I don't want that in this. I want them to serve I mean, it's going to be cool to see them, but I want them to serve a purpose in this. And so I don't know. Josh, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think definitely having Cox come back as Matt Murdock, which it would make sense, as defense given the ending of the last Spider-Man movie. But that's really great news because not only does that mean Daredevil's kind of in this universe, but that means Charlie Cox is going to keep that role, and that could be a continuation of the series. Knew that we had to wait 2 years after that series was canceled per contract before the character could appear anywhere else. That 2 years has passed. So it makes sense that now would be the time to bring this in. And another thing I'm thinking when it comes to Gwen Stacy, Emma Stone coming back, is we know that Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man universe died. So does that mean that this Emma Stone is going to be coming back as a Gwen Stacy from a different universe, which could mean a Spider-Gwen? Spider-Gwen live joining the Spider-Man.
Yeah,
right. So that's what I'm excited.
You're cutting out a little bit there, man. Yeah, no, I concur with what you're saying. Like, I'm. That's the only thing that makes sense is Spider-Gwen. That's the only thing that makes sense. I don't know how they're gonna do. Alfred Molina's, unless he's a different universes. Doc Ock. I'm not sure what they're gonna do here.
Well, they've also already introduced time travel, in a bunch of these, and if it ties into Doctor Strange and Multiverse, there's a lot of different ways they could incorporate both those characters in and have it fit perfectly within the Spider-Man storyline.
Right.
And let's also not forget that we've already seen one of the Sam Raimi actors appear in the same role in the MCU, which is J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons.
The legendary.
A lot of initials starting with J there, but he is a legend. But maybe, it's possible that I think a lot of people are already speculating that we're going to get the Alfred Molina Doc Ock from the Raimi verse, as well as the Shocker, or not the Shocker, I'm sorry, Electro, played by Jamie Foxx from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. But it's definitely possible that they could throw us for a loop and they could actually be playing the MCU versions of that character, almost getting a second shot at those characters, very similar to what Ryan Reynolds was able to do with Deadpool, since they did that Wolverine Origins movie. He played a kind of a different Deadpool than we're all kind of familiar with now. So it's possible that we could definitely have that happen too.
Sure, and the thing is with Electro, like that I've always said, is you can explain away his death because they never really showed her die. So you could explain, his energy transferred somewhere, and I don't know. I mean, so that's you can explain that way. The other ones I'm not sure, but the WandaVision stuff and all that stuff that takes us right in to the main topic. It's going to be a little different today, not as structured, because we're basically going to be talking all about the Disney Investors Day announcements that just dropped tonight. So a lot of breaking news and a lot of stuff. was done. I know, Josh, you were taking notes. What do you want to first discuss? I'll let you take the lead on this.
There was so much. Now I'm hoping my internet does okay. I've been kind of seeing some glitches going on here, but it started at 4:30 and it went till after 8. They started off talking about some Hulu stuff, some FX inclusion. They talked about how Disney Plus is going to be able to include some mature and R-rated content through a rebranding kind of a Star, which is another inner brand that will be on there. With parental controls. So we know that they're going to be able to have more than just the family-friendly content, and that's going to open up to a lot more availability. But when they started really hitting the big stuff, is when they got to their Star Wars stuff. And they announced probably 11 new Star Wars projects. A lot of them are series going to Disney Plus, and then a couple of movies. Some of the first ones that they mentioned was what we had anticipated and talked about, which was the Osaka series. Also one called Rangers of the Republic. And they said both of these are going to take place within the same time frame of the man, and that they will build to one joint kind of collaborative story of these 3 series building up to one big joint event. So that's pretty exciting.
That is exciting. What do you guys have any thoughts you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm not.
Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
I'm not as well versed in like the animated series or the Star Wars lore, so I'm kind of experiencing this as a new fan. Like I've seen all the Star Wars stuff. I love some of it. I'm very on some of it. But I love the universe and the world building that goes on in there. So I like these smaller scale stories like The Mandalorian, where they can really delve into one specific sector or section of the universe. So I mean, I'm gonna watch all of them, and I'll see how they grab me. But like some people who know it really well, they kind of know what to expect. I'm kind of going in blind, which I'm excited about in a different way too.
Yeah, the one thing that really stands out to me about what Josh was saying was that they're all leading up to a bigger storyline, which is very much that MCU style of storytelling that we're so familiar with. And it's just being brought here to Star Wars, which I think is great for the franchise. Now, we obviously knew that there was going to be some building off of The Mandalorian, because let's be honest, The Mandalorian is probably the best bit of Star Wars content that we've gotten in a very long time. So it only makes sense to build around that. I'm a little surprised, though, that we haven't had any more information about this Boba Fett series, though, that has been in the works for a long time. So I was a little surprised about that. But I also, on the flip side of that, I'm also very surprised that we got so many Star Wars announcements, like the Ahsoka show. I'm super excited about that.
Oh yeah,
and then we're also going to get the Bad Batch animated series that's coming out. And look, I'm a big fan of Star Wars Rogue One, so give me some Cassian Andor as long as he has that droid with him. What was the droid's name? Was it L7 or something?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. I like that droid though. With Ahsoka, I want to point out that also Lando, those were scoops, FandomWire exclusives that are now confirmed. So that's a big day for us. Thank you.
Congratulations, guys! This is a big day. Look, this is for all those people that ever want to say this is clickbait or this is fake news. Hey, you proved them wrong, guys. There you go. Kudos.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like all the haters, they go, oh, it's fake, oh, you're making this up. Guys, that was we reported the Ahsoka show in, I think, in May. So it's happening. It's out there. Ahsoka is personally like one of my favorite Star Wars characters. So I'm thrilled. I did like Rosario Dawson. I actually met both Ahsoka actresses, Rosario Dawson and Ashley Eckstein, but and they're both great. And I think it was a little jarring at first not hearing Ashley's voice as Ahsoka, but she was a natural though. I think, and it works. I'm excited to see where it goes, and on her, I'm assuming they're gonna go after Ezra and try to find what's in the Mandalorian. They're trying to find Thrawn, so I'm assuming that's gonna be the main villain of the show, because it supposedly takes place during the same time as Mandalorian. So that's what I'm gonna assume, is that they're going after Thrawn and trying to
Right.
find Ezra. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. And what was the other show? Oh, Bad Batch is based off the
Yeah, so that's an animated one. It had a really cool like animation style to it. It kind of, for those who are with it, it was kind of described as something similar to Suicide Squad of Clone Wars who get sent into kind of the worst situation on their own, fight stuff. Kind of, they're known as the Bad Batch. So it looks really cool. Fans of Clone Wars and Rebels and the old school animation, I think, are going to be really psyched for this. The animation just looked a lot more updated and a lot more clean and crisp. So it's going to be cool.
Yeah, man.
Another one that they talked about was a droid story, which is going to be follow C-3PO and R2-D2 on their own little adventures. It sounds like a fun series that I'm excited for.
Yeah,
I missed that one too.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I mean, that sounds fun. I mean, I don't know how they're gonna fill a whole series. Like, is it a series?
It's a series, yeah, and it focuses on C-3PO.
Okay, I mean that could be fun. I think they can. Yeah,
Josh, I have a question for you, Josh. Is the Bad Batch a sequel series to Clone Wars? Oh, I think we froze him.
Awesome.
Okay. Say anything specific. Jeez.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry, guys. My head is.
It's all right, man. I thought it was
anything specific on it.
I thought I saw something. I'm trying to see if I can find it where I found it. I thought I saw something that it was going to be a spinoff or a sequel, but I can't remember where I saw it. But it sounds familiar, like something I read tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know how they would though, only because the end of Clone Wars showed the fall of the Republic. So I don't know how, unless they're just like a vigilante group that just sort of goes around, and I don't know how they're going to do it, but it could be.
That's the thing, is that they had so much to announce that they couldn't spend a ton of time on each thing. They were just like, hey, look at this. Isn't this exciting? Cool. Here's the next exciting thing. So it's enough to get you like hooked and going, wow, I'm interested, without knowing a whole lot about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's my one complaint about the way they handled this. And I was talking about this on air. This is my biggest complaint with the way they handle this. And Matt brought up a good point about, well, they want to assure investors that they're not falling apart here, and that's probably true.
And I checked; their stock was trading almost up 4% after hours. So
good,
if that's what they were going for, they seemed to hit their mark there.
Well, I own Disney stuff, so I'm happy. But not very much. But I think the one as a fan, as an investor, that makes me happy. But as a fan, I wish they would have just done like only Star Wars tonight or only Marvel, and then next week release like Marvel or something, because there's so much. I mean, like, especially I was trying to do this, like, I wasn't really feeling that good today, so I wasn't even up for half of it. And I was like, if we, because I know I could see my writers, like, trying to get articles out. It's like, we can't keep up with this. We can't keep up with all, like, there's just not enough. Oh, we lost Josh. There's not enough to, like, enough time between,
Well,
like,
one thing going off of that, I didn't catch a lot of it live. I saw some of the Marvel stuff. A lot of it was just, hey, here's this new title. It's coming out this time, and then moved on to the next thing. So there's still a lot to come out. So when they talked about the Eternals, they confirmed its release date for next year, but there was no footage, there was no trailer, not even like a poster or anything. They showed the cast, but that was it. So we've still got the trailer for the Eternals, I hope I'm saying this right, the Shang-Chi series or movie, I'm sorry.
Shang-Chi, yeah, Shang-Chi. I've heard that. I've heard a couple people that have seen both, and I heard that Shang-Chi is really good.
Yeah, and there was no footage or images from that release, so there's still a ton to come out. They just kind of did an info dump kind of saying, here's everything we've got going on, but then for the fans, for reporters, whoever it is, there's still plenty to come over the next weeks and months too. So I don't think they're not short on content by any means. But yeah, I get what you're saying, that it was just coming so fast and furious. You're even if you're just reading on Twitter, not even trying to cover it, it was impossible to keep up with everything.
Right. And that's why I'm like, to me, that part of it they sort of botched, because if they would have done, like, even on D23, there's a lot going on, and it's hard for us to keep up with it and report on it. But even with D23, they're spread out like half hour, an hour. Like, you can get more bang for the media buck when you do that. Whereas dumping all this all at once, they could have literally had the media wave for the next month if they were to release it like once a week. They could have had this for next month. But
yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Like, especially with D23 and Star Wars Celebration, absolutely.
Yeah. And was there any other Star Wars reveals, Josh?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, there was. Okay.
There was. We obviously know that there's going to be an Obi-Wan series, and Hayden Christensen is going to be returning to reprise his role as Anakin Skywalker. At least we can assume. That's big.
Awesome. That's awesome. Definitely. Hey, guys, have any thoughts on that?
I mean, it's a nice chance at redemption for him, maybe, depending on how you feel about the prequel trilogies. If he wants another shot at the character and give a better taste for people. I personally thought Revenge of the Sith was the best of the trilogy. Not that that's saying a whole lot.
Me too.
But if he wants another shot to say, hey, I can actually do this character right, just from his standpoint. And, it's fun, at least from my standpoint, to keep that continuity going. So I actually probably would have preferred him over somebody else, especially with, Ewan McGregor coming back. But, we'll see what we see. But I'm looking forward to, at least on the outset.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, man, I actually don't mind the prequels as much as, I do despise the first one. What was it, Phantom Menace? I despise that one.
Yeah.
But the other ones they're okay. Revenge of the Sith I actually kind of like a little bit, but I'm excited to see him back.
Like Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. There's a lot to it. I mean, it could have been better, but it's fun. And I'm excited. I don't know how he's going to appear. Is he going to be like flashback, or because he's Vader by that time, right?
Yes, that's what I saw, that it's taking place when he is, after he's become Vader, is everything I've
seen. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know what.
I'm guessing it'll be flashback.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's flashbacks too. The interesting thing though, which I think would be kind of cool, is if they brought back who played Uncle Owen in the prequels.
Ooh. Oh shoot!
It was decently famous. What's his name? He was in God. What was it? He was in that movie with, or that
Warriors
movie.
That's who you're talking about. Years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on.
And he was in The Gift.
Yes. Joel something.
Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton. There you go.
Yeah.
Joel Edgerton. I wouldn't be so surprised if they brought Joel Edgerton back for that series, especially if it's tying to the Skywalker storyline a little bit.
Oh, guys, sorry, a different topic, but the Fantastic Four accounts for the older, like the one for Fox, just changed over with the new branding for Marvel's Fantastic Four. It's happening, guys. And we'll get to that in a second, but I just had to say that because, like, that's what I'm most excited about. But anyway, is there any other Star Wars news you want to cover before we move on to what other one do we want to do next? Marvel?
I mean, there's lots to cover. I would say the Marvel was probably the big thing.
Oh, Indiana Jones.
Covered.
What?
Oh yeah, they got Indiana Jones with James Mangold coming on as director and bringing back Harrison Ford. So that's exciting stuff.
And this is going to wrap up the Indiana Jones storyline. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is also going directly to Disney Plus. Is that right?
I
think I saw that. Yeah.
I think
that was impressive.
That is interesting choice. That's an interesting choice. Now that's something that brings up something I want to discuss too. Is that in this announcement they definitely still believe in the theatrical runs because news came out yesterday that they were going to do basically release Disney Plus and theatrical on a case-by-case basis. But a lot of these movies are going to be on Disney Plus, but premiere access, which I'm a little upset about because I think that's a mistake. I don't think that's going to do well for them. I don't think people are going to buy it. They're not going to get subscribers. If they had just released some of these on, they're already at 70 million users. If they released some of these on Disney Plus, they probably would have hit 100 this year. 100 million users. I
just got actually funny enough that you say that. I got a press email just from Disney right now that says they have 137 million paid users on Disney Plus.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow.
The press. Let me pull this up see if I can open it up and maybe we can get some more information here. So the Walt Disney Company surpasses 137 million paid subscriptions across its direct-to-consumer service, shattering previous guidance and increased paid subscriptions target 300 to 350 million by 2024. It's a lot of people.
Yeah. Wow. But imagine if they did drop some of these without the paywall and just the subscription. Like, seriously, they could catch up to Netflix.
I mean, that's the fascinating thing. Like, I think that Warner Brothers really set precedent last week by announcing that they were going to go direct to their streaming service and theatrical releases, and that put the pressure on all the studios. And now we're kind of seeing where Disney's response is, where it's like Riley was saying, it's a case by case basis with this film. But I couldn't agree more. I think that that paywall for me is kind of what's killing it. Now, do we know if the HBO Max stuff is going to be under a paywall?
No,
it's free. If you subscribe, you get it.
Right. Wow. Yeah, see that's what I'm saying.
Bad timing on their part because they announced specifically the next animated one, Raya and the Last Dragon. That's going to have a simultaneous theatrical and Disney Plus release. But the Disney Plus is going to be the premiere access.
No one's going to get that.
And their Mulan experiment was a disaster for a number of reasons. And then coming on the heels of the Warner Brothers announcement, it's just bad timing. And maybe they didn't have a chance to pivot after the HBO announcement, but it's like you said, they set a precedent. It was really unfortunate timing wise for them, and I just don't think that's the way to go. especially when they're not hurting
But I
for
think
subscribers. HBO Max is.
Disney's plan is, because they have said that they intend to release one new IP. They plan on having enough series to where there's at least year round something new hitting their service each week. And so they're really trying to bring in their subscribers with their Marvel series and their come for them. People are going to watch Loki and watch, Winter Soldier and the Ahsoka and all these people. So even though they may be,
you're cutting out there, man. No, cutting out there. But no, I think we lost him. Anyway, no, but what he's right. A lot of shows that are going to be on, a lot of content, like a ton of content. Yeah. Like, wow, like what do they say? 10 Marvel or 10 Star Wars shows, 10 Marvel.
Yeah.
Shows.
That's an incredible amount. But I think that also shows us a little bit that a lot of these big studios are starting to invest into what they see the future being. And I think a lot of that is these streaming services, as we can already tell, because we don't know when things are going to go back to normal with actual theaters. So I think it's a smart move to kind of invest into your future a little bit. And look, let's be honest. I got Disney Plus, not so much for The Mandalorian, but for these Marvel shows. I'm so excited about every single one of these shows. I can't wait for them.
Yep. Yeah. I was going to get it no matter what, just because there's so much of the Disney library that I just love. But the Marvel shows was the final hook that just said, yep, there's no question about this. As soon as that comes out, I'm getting it immediately. Even if there was only one series a year, that would have been enough for me to sign up on that alone.
Well, Matt, I have a question. So do you think now that you've had Disney Plus for a while now, do you think you've been satisfied with the amount of content they were able to put out in that first year?
Not
for
really
me, yes, but it's also because it's such a low cost comparatively to the other services. I think it's like $8 a month, maybe something like that. So you don't need a lot from that standpoint. Not for me, at least. I know some people, they've got to look at what you're spending your money on. But for me, $8 a month for a Mandalorian show and constant access to the full series of The Simpsons. It's got Boy Meets World on there. It's got Recess, which still holds up. Just if you're wondering, the cartoon still holds up. It's got everything on there. So for the cost, it might be the best dollar value of any of the services. I don't know if it's the best, but if you're just taking its value from what you have compared to what you're paying, it's right up there. So I've been more than satisfied. And now that they're just going to be adding all of this stuff, like we were saying, one new piece of content a week. I mean,
that's incredible.
It's insane.
And I will say, for me, I definitely, I'm not unhappy. I mean, I already bought 3 years, so I don't. It's fine. It's fine. But it's like I've been happy with Mandalorian. I haven't watched a ton of content, just mostly because I haven't had a lot of time. But one of the biggest things, though, is that they've been able to, this is what I tell people, they've been able to amass this many subscribers with this much content, which hasn't been that much. We've had, like, The Mandalorian, that's Hamilton. We've had not a lot.
Yeah, they've really been relying on their library of footage that they already have. Now with the expansions coming, with all this influx of new footage or new content is going to be phenomenal for Disney.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like they knew what they were doing. That if they can get through the first year or so with people subscribing and hanging on with not a ton of original content, they've had some movies here and there as well, but knowing what was coming down the line in year 2 and 3 and 4 and beyond, they knew if they could get people hooked in that first year, those people were going to stay. And then they're just probably only going to grow from a subscriber standpoint with all of this. And Feige actually stressed specifically, said something like, now you see how the Disney Plus series play into the overall universe. So he's kind of saying, if you want the full picture, you got to get it.
Yeah,
which is a lot different than what we got with when we got the announcement that there was going to be Netflix series for Marvel. So this is almost the exact opposite of that. But one thing that I was thinking about that Josh was saying earlier, now that there's this Star thing that's happening on Disney Plus, do you think that we get a chance to revisit some of those grittier Netflix series? Because The Punisher, I loved The Punisher. Thought it was great. You think that we can possibly get that on Disney Plus now with John Bernthal reprising the role there?
Oh God, I hope so. I hope so.
I hadn't
so
thought about that part, but I mean, obviously with Spider-Man, they're not afraid of bringing people back in some sort of capacity.
Right.
So I don't think I ever watched The Punisher. I watched the others, but not that one. I watched, I think, the first episode, but I know a lot of people liked it, or at least liked his portrayal of it. And I love John Bernthal just in general. So I would love for them to get some grittier, darker content under that new umbrella.
I think that's exactly why they did this, because Daredevil was probably their most successful show they've ever had. I mean, I don't love some of the other ones that they've done, like Jessica Jones, things. I like the first seasons. Except for Iron Fist. I like the first season of Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about the other ones. But Daredevil seemed to get better every season. And when I was there in New York Comic Con, and they had the Daredevil bit, people were going crazy at that panel. I mean, and they showed us like an episode of. Everyone was so excited about it, and I think it just makes a ton of sense to do it. And it might not be as bloody or as as mature as it was, but you could do a lot for PG-13 or what. You could do a lot with that, and we talked about that before, is you get away with a lot. So I think if they do that, to be honest, the thing of it, I don't think they dropped many F-bombs on the show, so even language isn't really an issue.
Mm-hmm.
There was language, but it wasn't severe. I think there's a good chance that they'll be back. Maybe not all of them, but I think we could. I think Daredevil might be a sure one. I'm not even sure about the Punisher one, but I think Daredevil might get it, because we talked about Matt Murdock being back and potentially appearing in other things. So that one to me is like a sure thing. Not sure thing, but that one to me makes the most sense. I don't know about the other ones, but they might just. It depends. I'm also interested to see how they handle if they bring Daredevil back. Are they gonna ignore some of the Defender stuff? Are they just gonna just ignore some stuff and acknowledge some stuff?
I think that's one of the biggest questions going forward. I mean, the way that the Netflix shows were kind of formatted, I wasn't the biggest fan of, where it was like you get 6 episodes and then another 6 episodes, and they felt like two kind of different story arcs. Kind of felt weird, because look, I loved the first half of Luke Cage, but when we got towards that second half, I was kind of whatever with it. When they killed off Cottonmouth, I was just kind of over it. But personally, I think that there's, like Riley was saying, there's some great opportunity to reinfuse those characters with new life. Matt Murdock is going to be in Spider-Man 3. That is happening. So it's a great time to revisit that character and maybe that series, especially with Disney Plus adding all these new series. It makes sense to have some of these characters already built in. If who knows? Maybe we get a little bit of reference or even appearance for Iron Fist and Shang-Chi, because we know that this big tournament's going to be happening there. I think that would be another great way to reintroduce us to an Iron Fist character that we can all jump into. And like I said before, Punisher, man, I would love to see me some Punisher in the MCU.
Well, and I think with the Netflix shows, and you guys maybe know more about the behind the scenes than I would, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like they maybe didn't have the full weight of Marvel and
They
Feige
did.
behind them. And now that they've got these new shows, which they're all going to
Feige-
be intertwined together, that if there's a new show, they're going to be directly involved. They're going to get their hands
yeah.
dirty with it. And that's just going to be for the benefit of anyone, for any project they're doing.
Well, Feige was not involved with any of the shows. None of them. So,
Yeah, that was an Ike Perlmutter thing, I believe. And now that
Right.
Ike is kind of out of the picture, it
Okay.
seems like Kevin Feige is full on embracing that. Now, the thing that I find probably the most interesting about this whole thing is the integration of these Fox characters. Because I think we're starting to see small infusions in some of these shows with those Fox characters. And opening up the multiverse of madness is going to be something to see. I almost feel like we're in this geek arms race to see who can execute their multiverse better right now. And I'll be honest with you, I'm really excited with what Marvel has going on, but man, I can't turn away from all that noise that DC's making over there with the Snyder Cut and whatever they're doing with the Flash. Seems insane to me, but I'm excited for it. I'm excited to be a fan in so many fandoms right now.
I just say something.
And
too,
on FandomWire. So there you go. It all makes sense together.
Yeah, I did. And dude, like, as we've been saying for months, like, we feel.
I can't hear you guys.
What? Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
I've got you, Riley.
Yeah, okay. You said you couldn't hear. Basically, one of the things that we have said for months is like, we feel like there isn't a ton of stuff with Marvel to be excited about. However, this changes things, I think. There's been a lot of talk on our shows and other people's shows about like how it's sort of lackluster now the end game is over. And I know it's been a year without any content with Marvel, so that does help with that feeling. But I think these announcements and the trailers that we'll talk about next is they really they definitely piqued my interest more. I mean, I was already gonna watch everything, but they definitely got me more excited for Doctor Strange and a lot of things I'm hearing behind the scenes too. Is like there's some cool stuff they're playing. Like Doctor Strange, I'm hearing is going to be basically like Civil War, like an Avengers 4.5. Like it's going to be a crazy team up movie. A lot of stuff. Andy reported today that Tobey Maguire is gonna, and I heard the same thing. I could confirm it as well. Tobey Maguire is gonna be in Doctor Strange, in the Multiverse of Madness. And from what I heard, he'll be a significant character.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what the role. Maybe Andy. I didn't watch Andy's video, so maybe he reveals what that is. But go over to Popcorn Planet. Check it out on YouTube. No, but I'm hearing. Yeah, he'll basically at the end. Not minor spoiler here, but basically he'll at the story from Spider-Man 3 will feed over into Doctor Strange, and basically Toby will join Doctor Strange to help fix reality and all that. So I'm super excited about that. I mean, the fact that they were able to do it is exciting, and I think Andy talked about this as well, is that the big factor for getting Toby on board for Doctor Strange as well was having Raimi in the director's chair, and one of the big reasons that Derrickson left was because he didn't want to do an Avengers movie. He wanted to do a Doctor Strange movie, and it's actually come out too as well. I just saw on Twitter. Rachel McAdams will be back. I'm hearing in a very small role. Like I'm not hearing like she'll have a big role like the first one. I'm hearing a small role.
They also announced one that the Illuminati got right is that America Chavez is going to be in the film. So
that's right. That was your scoop. That's right.
Yep. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And I can also confirm with what you said about Scott Derrickson, because there's a little bit of what happened. You're completely right. From what I was told is that this was going to be his Doctor Strange movie that he wanted to make. He wanted to make a horror movie.
Yes, horror. Yeah, right.
And once they started, I want to say Kevin Feige, once they started implementing, all right, you have to add this character, you have to add that character, he was out of the project. He didn't want to do it anymore, and he exited. And here we got Sam Raimi, which is great. It's great that Sam Raimi is on board now, because it feels like we're getting a little bit. He's getting a redo at some of these at the superhero world again. Now that the superhero world that he helped create is in full effect, he's getting his shot to do it on a big, grand scale. And I'm excited to see what Sam Raimi brings to the table. Look, let's not sleep on Sam Raimi. He knows horror. Like anybody that's a fan of The Evil Dead knows that. So this is going to be really fascinating to see. And he gets his version of those Spider-Man characters so well. So that's what I'm really excited to see, is how he integrates with what he did in the past to what he's doing now in the future with the MCU.
Right. And something that I think is really interesting that I think you have to look at is, if things go well with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I have a feeling, no inside information, just speculation, that it will not be the last for Sam Raimi. I doubt he's just doing this as a one-off. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I agree. And I heard the same thing with the horror thing. He wanted to do horror. And, they sort of changed it up because they wanted to do Spider-Man 3 and integrate. And WandaVision. WandaVision is going to play a gigantic part in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. And I'm still finding out some things. I know a little bit about Wanda's world, but it's kind of a spoiler, so I won't discuss it unless I have something a little bit more concrete. But yeah, no, there's great stuff happening with that movie. And even before all this was revealed, that was actually a movie I was most looking forward to. Now that's by far the movie I'm looking forward to. Like, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man fighting alongside Doctor Strange and fighting all these crazy multiverse villains. Like, come on. That's insane. That's insane that we're gonna see that. I mean, and speaking of WandaVision, did you guys see the trailer
from tonight?
I haven't.
Yeah, I here. Why don't we put on and react to it together? Because I haven't seen it either. That's a cool thing about the software. I can just put it on and we can react to it when we find it. Also, Loki. They did Loki. So here, I'll put this on and we'll react to it and see.
See, I'm extremely excited to see this show. Like, it just seems so surreal to me that we're gonna get.
What's it?
I'm gonna start over because I messed that up. I'm gonna start that over.
You have me anticipating this now, because I haven't seen this. This is gonna be the first time I'm seeing it, so I'm super hyped to see it.
Yeah. Let's check it out. Here we go.
So what's a single girl like you doing rattling around this big house?
Well, I assure you, I'm married to a man, a human one.
Wanda. What's it raining? And I wipe the sleep out the night.
We are an unusual couple.
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
We just don't know what to expect.
Howdy, neighbors. Hey, bud.
Wanda, what's up?
Who are you?
I don't know.
Reality's going to get worse.
I think something's wrong here.
Wanda, can you hear me? Who's doing this to you?
Are you here to help us? This is our home.
Then let's fight for it.
Oh boy!
Oh my god!
That looks awesome.
God,
Well, I think we handled that well.
I
so
wonder.
excited.
Ooh,
I
January
wonder-
15th.
Oh, I can't wait! I wonder if every episode is going to be like an homage to like a classic television show from the past.
I
Because we
think
got a
it
little
is.
bit of elements from Bewitched. I saw a little bit of like Brady Bunch in there. So this show looks extremely fascinating.
Yeah, and this is also one of the shows I was most looking forward to on the TV side because it looks so different. And that's honestly my one complaint about Marvel is that they weren't doing like different things. Like sure they like Winter Soldier was different, and that to me is the best MCU movie so far. But I want it's like I want different stuff, and this looks so different and so unique and captivating and like just so weird. I just want to see weird stuff. Like that's what I want to see. So I'm thrilled. We have other trailers if we want to look at those too. We have Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I haven't seen any of these.
Oh wow! All right, yeah, we gotta do this. We gotta pull this up too. Yeah. So what I didn't see much of this one either, but what I did see of it looks great. There it is. Looks like a museum, like from
The legacy of that shield is
I'm gonna put it down here because
complicated.
It's too clocking it.
the world. It's upside down. People need something to get behind.
Oh yeah.
They need the symbol. So what's our plan? So no plan.
Nice.
Great.
That's just like the scene in Winter Soldier where Cap gets out there. Comes out of the plane. Oh yeah. Look at this.
Man, this seems like the most Marvel show out of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks dope.
Whoa. Oh, the Cap scene.
So honestly,
I love it.
the great thing about this is that it
What's going on in that
legitimately
cyborg
feels.
brain of yours? You don't want to know. Oh, yeah, I can see it working. Gears turning. Oh, they're malfunctioning. They're on fire. God, I hate you.
Nice.
This
Yeah.
legitimately feels like the next step in the Captain America storyline. So this
Yes.
tonally, this fits perfect.
Yeah. And I love that they added that little motif of the Captain America theme at the end. That was perfect. Matt, what do you think about the trailer?
I mean, that one looked just so sick. I'm so pumped for that one. I mean, what I love too is that, like, I think it was in Civil War, they kind of had that kind of friendly rivalry between the two of them, and that seems to be continuing here, on more of a friendship level, but they're still going to be, butting heads a little bit, it seems like. So that'll make for a fun dynamic between the two when they're not in these big, huge action sequences. And for a movie or a show that's going to be focused so firmly on two characters, having that chemistry is going to just be key, and it seems like they're going to knock that part out of the park.
And Sharon Carter is going to be coming back, which I'm extremely excited about.
And apparently she'll be on the run and stuff like that, so that'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
Yeah,
who knows? Maybe She-Hulk could be her lawyer at some point.
Maybe, yeah. Dude, that trailer is probably the best one we see. Well, there's other ones too. Loki. Have you guys seen Loki?
I haven't.
I did see this one. I mean, I'm just gonna sound like I'm repeating myself, but I'm all in on this one. I thought it looked super good.
Why don't we put it on real quick and we'll react to it? I only saw like first like 30 seconds. Looks really good. It starts off with where Loki disappears in Endgame. So it's like he is
Seems to pick up right after that.
Yeah. And
Get your hands off.
yeah, it shows him and Endgame except to talk over this so we don't get any flag. And Hope is pushing that out of the way. We saw the scene. Oh, good. Now we're in the show. Now we're going to see what he does. Oh. This looks so cool. I heard this one's awfully dark too.
Seems to be a lot darker of a take than you might expect.
No, I'm taking you someplace to talk. Where I lie, don't like to talk. But you do like to lie, which you just did.
Sorry, it's a little prop
We
there,
both
guys.
know you love
But
to
yes,
talk.
you can tell that is Owen Wilson, who I didn't know until
That is
Oh
Owen
my
Wilson.
God.
I
Wow.
don't know, it's hard to say. You know, time
Wow.
passes differently here in the TVA. What does that mean? You'll catch up.
Wow.
Glorious.
I should not recognize Owen Wilson.
Wow, you were not kidding about the tone of this thing. I completely thought this was going to be a lot more common.
like a snappy dialogue, Woody.
Yeah.
But
Brother, calm down. You better be ready.
That D.B. Cooper reference.
I would love it if they make him D.B. Cooper in that. I hadn't thought of that, but that's just a fun little tie-in that would
Come on.
wouldn't really mean anything, but it'd just
What
be
did you expect?
very fitting for Loki.
Okay,
No, that-
I'm hyped for this.
Yeah, that looks good. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on because they don't really give a lot in the trailer, but like you could tell, it's basically like Time Bureau from Legends. It's basically what like Legends of Tomorrow I'm referring to. I don't know if you guys watch it. I know Matt doesn't watch it.
I think Legends is the best DCCW
Oh, it
show.
is.
It is
Totally
so
is.
good.
It's the only DC show that has maintained its consistent quality. Like the other shows, after like 2 seasons, they drop off. This one, Legends, is the only one. But that actually, was it TVA or the TV? What was it?
TVA. I looked it up.
TVA.
It's Time Variance Authority.
Ah,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know anything about it, but it
So
sounds
the-
kind of like what you were talking about.
Kind of like Time Bureau. Yeah, okay. That sounds cool.
But what I
Um,
liked is at the very end, if you guys caught that when he said, "Brother Heimdall, I hope you're ready." So I'm wondering if we might get a Thor appearance at some point
maybe
in the show,
that makes
or maybe
it-
that's a cliffhanger, maybe near the end of the season, going into the next one. But I haven't heard anything about that. But just with that little
Well,
comment, gives me a
here's
little
the
bit of
thing.
hope that we might see Chris Hemsworth show up.
Also, this might be a small spoiler, but we did report this on the Illuminati that it's a possibility here that it might be a younger Heimdall that they run into here.
Oh,
okay.
younger version of the character. So we could be put in a different time period altogether. Which, look, there was so much going on in that trailer. It's really hard to say where things happen and what takes place. We did see a Roxxon little Easter egg in there in that trailer, real quick. I'm excited for the show. I definitely thought the tone was going to be a lot more comedic, and it seems it definitely seems very much. Yeah, it definitely seems like it's very much more of an Asgardian adventure again.
I mean, I think the Roxxon thing might play some part in the larger story because I see some other things where Roxxon is definitely like obviously it played a part in like Runaways, but that's sort of like not MCU. So no, I mean not Runaways. What was it? Cloak and Dagger.
Luke Cage. It was definitely a part of Luke Cage.
Oh right, Luke Cage. I mean, I think it might be a possibility Roxxon could be one of the next big bads they're leading up to. It's possible. Now, FandomWire did exclusively report last year. Now, some of the details might even change a little bit just with everything. And, they change it, update all the time. But Loki will actually lead into Thor Love and Thunder. So, Loki is going to essentially be like jumping through time in different universes in the show, and then he's going to jump back to the current like reality we know in Thor: Love and Thunder, and apparently he's going to like somehow I forget exactly what his story was because it was so long ago we reported that, but basically that's I think what he was talking about, like, oh brother, I think I don't know if we might see Thor in Loki, but we're definitely gonna see Loki in Thor. So that might be what it's referring to, like he's trying to get back to I forget exactly what the story was again, because it was like a year ago. But yeah, you can look it up on FandomWire.com. Exclusives, it's there. You can read it. So again, some of it might have been like changed by now, but yeah, that's a basic gist. Is that Loki will jump into Thor: Love and Thunder. I think he brings Mjolnir with him. I forget exactly what the details are, but yeah, it's gonna be cool. Sounds cool. Thor: Love and Thunder is shaping out to be pretty interesting too. Got Natalie Portman. Was there anything revealed about Thor: Love and Thunder?
There was. We now know who Christian Bale's playing.
Oh right.
There was a reveal there. Christian Bale will be playing Gore the God Butcher in the film. He's going to be the villain of the piece, and I am excited that we're going to get Christian Bale in an MCU movie. This is insane. Like I said. Yeah.
I mean, and Beta Ray Bill, we reported on exclusive again, like last year. Beta Ray Bill, they were planning on including Beta Ray Bill in Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, whether he appears in the final cut or not, we'll see. But that's their plan, is putting Beta Ray Bill in the movie. A lot of people are thinking, oh, that's Christian Bale. It's not Christian Bale. It's I don't know if they cast it or not. But this movie is shaping up to be pretty interesting as well.
We also got Ant-Man 3.
Yeah,
Ant-Man 3 is going to be now titled Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Jonathan Majors is going to be playing Kang the Conqueror. And the biggest surprise really coming out of that is that Cassie Lang has been recast. It's going to be with Detective Pikachu's star Catherine Newton playing the character now.
Oh, I love Catherine Newton. I think she's, in everything I've seen, I think she's great. I had missed that part. I'm really excited for that.
I missed that too.
I also think this is a great way, and we're almost starting to see this just a little bit. We already know that Haley Steinfeld is confirmed to be be Kate Bishop and Hawkeye. We're starting to see those seeds planted for the young Avengers.
Wasn't that your scoop?
No, that was well, yes, it was. That was our scoop. Yes, original. Yeah. But the photos broke from Murphy's Multiverse. Good friends of ours. But the cool thing about this is that we're seeing those seeds planted with the Young Avengers. We got Haley Steinfeld on board. I personally, role that we saw at the end of Captain Marvel, I personally think that's Hulkling. And that was our first little glimpse of that.
Yeah.
We also have Monica Rambeau appearing in what's it called? WandaVision.
Right.
And and here, if somehow we get a kid Loki out of this is going to be insane. Imagine, right?
That's going to be crazy.
That'd be great.
Well, there also there was rumors. I don't know if it's true, but there were rumors there's a female Loki, and the crazy stuff is going to be happening in these shows.
From what I was told, that is correct. That the female Loki is going to be happening in the WandaVision show. But yeah, recasting Cassie Lang. Obviously, we know that she becomes a part of the Young Avengers at some point, also, and I think it's kind of interesting that just like they did cinematically in the MCU, we built towards Endgame and Infinity War. I almost feel like we're getting the same kind of treatment here with Disney Plus, building towards Secret Invasion, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, totally. And now, do you guys think it's a little? How do I put this? Not short-sighted, but do you guys think doing the Secret Invasion in a Disney Plus show instead of a big team up, do you think that's a mistake? As the main, you know what I mean? After Thanos, Secret Invasion, or even you could say the same thing about Kang in Ant-Man 3. Those are Avengers level threats. That's. Do you think that's? What do you think? How do you think they're handling that?
I actually personally kind of like it. I haven't read the comics, so I don't know the ins and outs of the story. I kind of have a general idea of it, but it seems to be something that they could get really deep into, and to be able to do it on a show where they have 8 to 10 episodes, whatever it might be. They didn't say how many it'll be, just that it's coming as a series. They can really go, levels deep into the whole event and where the different infiltrations are in the world, in the government, in the Avengers, wherever it might be. Whereas in a movie, they could split into two like they did with Infinity War and Endgame, but they maybe would kind of have to. But for a movie, or for a show, there's really no concern on that, and they can really dive into it in a way that they never been able to before. So I like the theater aspect. You have the big, blockbuster type movie. You want to see it on the big screen. But from a story standpoint, I think it might work out really well just in the way, depending on what they want to do narratively, I think it might be a good choice.
Yeah, we also got the announcement of Ironheart. Well, first of all, let's talk about this. Sam Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn are going to be coming back to reprise their roles from Captain Marvel in Secret Invasion. We're getting Ironheart with if Beale Street's Could Talk actress Dominique Thorne is going to be playing Riri Williams, and the Armorers will see Don Cheadle coming back as War Machine. There's also going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy special from James Gunn coming in 2022, and it's going to be a Groot-centric. And there's also some Groot-centric shorts in development, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's called I Am Groot. Yeah,
of course.
There's a lot going on,
dude. Okay, so let's break it down a little bit. All right, so the War Machine thing, I heard that was in development a little bit. I couldn't confirm, so I didn't report it, but yeah, I heard about that. That actually sounds really interesting. I think they said something if Tony's worst nightmare, his armor falls into the wrong hands, actual Iron Man versus Iron Man type style. That's gonna be really fun, I think. Armor Wars, that's interesting. I'm surprised they didn't just go with War Machine. Because that already has the name recognition, but it's an interesting choice. Unless maybe Ironheart is also in Armor Wars. I don't know. Maybe that's how it happens. I don't know. But Ironheart is interesting. I know some people might be like, what? Tony's dead. Just leave Iron Man. I don't care. I'm not thrilled. I don't know that much about Ironheart. I'm not thrilled about Ironheart, but I'm okay with it. I mean, I think it's whatever. I'm excited to see what they do with it.
How
what do
cool
you
would
guys
it be
think?
if they get Robert Downey Jr. For the voiceover to be like the AI that
Oh,
Riri Williams has?
they should do that. They should.
I think that'd be the
totally
way
do
to,
that.
if they want to bring him back, that would be the way to do it. Personally, I don't want to see him come back as any
No,
sort of
that would
physical
that would
version.
that
But
would
if they can get him as an AI, just like a voice part, I think that'd be a really cool way to do it.
now.
So do I.
Now with so Secret Invasion, do you think any of these like Secret Invasion or Kang in Ant-Man 3, that Ant-Man title is a mouthful. I'm just gonna call it Ant-Man 3. I'm not. Yeah, that's
They're just
pretty.
making up words, though. I love it.
I know
Yeah.
they are. Yeah, it's hilarious. Do you think those storylines are gonna spill in to the next or either? Well, they probably won't do both. So which one do you think is more likely to spill into a team up like event? Now they said they're not doing like a big. Now they didn't say it's during the press conference, but they said something like, "Oh, we're not gonna do an Avengers 5 for what?" Okay, well they are gonna do it at some point. So which one do you think is more likely? It may not be Avengers. Could be, Fantastic Four or maybe another team. Maybe they bring, I don't, maybe X-Men or whatever. I don't know. They're gonna do X-Men. I think they mentioned it. Did they mention it during the?
I didn't
the
hear anything on X-Men,
okay.
not tonight
Yeah,
at least.
they didn't say a movie, but I heard something about maybe that was back at Comic-Con.
D23.
Okay,
I believe it was.
D23.
Oh no, you're right. I think you're right. I think it was either D23 or Comic Con. They did mention that we haven't even got to Fantastic Four, Blade, and
Right.
the mutants yet. They mentioned the mutants very specifically. But to answer your question, there's a small trend that I see happening with a little bit of what we saw, and that trend would be time. So we get the TVA in Loki.
Right.
We're dealing with more quantum stuff in Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, and we now know that the Fantastic Four is going to be in the universe. So Kang could tie into the Fantastic Four and the Loki series, possibly tying all that up. So I think that the big threat originally was coming from space, and it was Thanos. Maybe this next threat really could be Kang. For them to take him on and correct all the mistakes that they made going in and out of time, especially with Steve Rogers really messing around with time.
Yeah,
that's
totally
a good
true.
thought. And the way they're doing it, I mean, they're so creative. They could really tie any of these into any other project with any villain as, quote unquote, big bad. But like you said, the time theme, I mean, the quantum realm was obviously huge in Endgame, resolving that conflict, and having to be part of the title even of the next Ant-Man movie. That's got to be a major part moving forward. So I would think maybe the Ant-Man next movie will be a major, point in the next larger story, whatever that turns out to be.
Yeah, I mean, and Fantastic Four, I think it's going to be a big part of the MCU as well. And I think that honestly might be like the team up, for this phase or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I just checked their Twitter. They deleted all the Fox tweets, and now it's all Marvel Fantastic Four. But yeah, I mean, and the logo. What do you guys think of the logo for the Fantastic Four?
I'm excited. I feel that like the Fantastic Four, those 4 roles are probably going to be the most coveted in Hollywood. And look, I know that there's been a lot of fan cry wanting John Krasinski. I would be surprised if they didn't approach John Krasinski for the role of Reed. Mainly because it just fits.
Do you guys want them to go with him and Emily Blunt as the couple together, or do you want them to maybe only pick one of the two of them?
I think
Krasinski.
I definitely think. Look, if I were to fantasy cast this, I would go with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, and then, I mean, there's I know that right now race swapping is a big thing too. Dev Patel, I think, would also be a great Reed Richards if they went in another direction. But yeah, I can definitely see John Krasinski really jumping up board. And it's funny enough, man. I was just watching another film earlier this week, and I was like, man, KJ Apa would not be a bad Johnny Storm to get out of that Riverdale contract.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I if
yeah.
they could,
I
they,
don't think he would have crossed my mind, but now that I think about it, I think I kind of that type of arrogant attitude a little bit. I wouldn't be opposed to it, if nothing else.
yeah, no, and here's the thing that I think if they can't do all three, or I mean all two, but both, like Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, I definitely want Krasinski. But I do think they both could fit, and they have good chemistry. Obviously, they're married. They have good chemistry. I think it would fit. Now, and here's the thing: the Rosario Dawson thing. That was sort of a fan with Ahsoka. That was a fan outcry too, and I feel like if they don't at least try, because no matter what they go with, if it's not Krasinski and Blunt, Twitter is gonna have a fit. So I feel like they have to at least try it. I mean, they don't have to do it, but I feel like it's too perfect not to try. So we'll see what they do.
It's also a ways off, though. I mean, when they announced it tonight, all they said was this movie is going to happen. They didn't give a date or anything like that.
Now,
So, there may be time for the Twitter mob to maybe die down if they don't.
Yeah.
But I think if they were starting tomorrow to try to cast people, I think they'd have to be on the list of calls at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, like, my fan cast, like, what do you guys think about some of the other ones, like Human Torch and the Thing? Like, I always liked The Rock for the Thing. Like, he just, oh, dude, how amazing would it be if we got The Rock to, like, motion capture the Thing? Like, that would be incredible. And, I mean, he's a big box office star, I think, to invigorate because people still had that terrible taste in their mouths from the other Fantastic Four. I think bringing in The Rock would be a good business decision because, like, no, this is a different Fantastic Four. We got The Rock. He's literally playing rocks. Like how amazing that would be. Like
The Rock playing a rock.
Yes,
I love that.
It has to happen at some point.
How amazing would that be, dude? But yeah, what do you guys think? Who would you pick for Human Torch and the Thing?
Well, I like KJ Apa for the Human Torch. If not KJ Apa, I'm a big fan of Dacre Montgomery. I think that he's a star waiting there for the pickings. He was in Stranger Things. You guys know him from Power Rangers. Dacre Montgomery would be brilliant in that role. And for my Thing, I think actually I'd go a little bit outside the box and I'd go with Bruce Willis. It's somebody that doesn't necessarily have to be there on set. Somebody has a recognizable voice, and I think he can add a lot to that role.
See, I was thinking kind of off the recognizable voice, and this one just popped in my head a minute ago, would be maybe Jason Statham.
It's a great one.
Because he's got the voice, and I think that would work really well for the character. And if they do need to do motion capture, he can obviously do the physical work for it.
Yeah, that could work out. It depends. Will they show Ben Grimm? That's the thing. Will they actually show like Ben Grimm? Because that's why I was like, if I'm not mistaken, I wasn't, even though I'm a big Fantastic Four fan, not familiar with all the storylines of the comics. But from what I understand, like Ben Grimm is the more like physical one, like the more athletic one in the group, and so I guess Johnny too, but that's why I picked like The Rock because he's already big, but then he turns into the Thing and like he's massive, and it would make more sense why he was already massive, like with The Rock, the Rock still around. Like it would make more sense than if he's like bigger because he's already bigger than everybody else. So it's
another interesting choice for the Thing could be Joe Manganiello, also a guy that's been dying to play in these superhero movies forever.
Yeah,
I think Joe would be great, but I also think that if we're getting Fantastic Four, I feel like it's only a matter of time until we get Doctor Doom. And I think that could be a big threat there.
I hope they don't do. I really hope though they don't make him the main villain for the first movie. Please don't do that. Don't do that, because we've already seen that like twice now, well, 3 times, I guess. Don't do that. Build up to him. I want hints at him, or like a cameo, small role, like hint at it, like hint, and just sort of, ease us into that. Maybe he'll be the big bad that the Marvel heroes have to. I don't know. But that would be very big. Apparently, oh, that's the other thing I want to mention too, is with the Doctor Strange stuff. I forgot to mention earlier. There are heroes from the multiverse. They're going to be joining, like other heroes. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that's where the rumors of Tom Cruise as Iron Man and some of those, like I'm assuming that's where those guys come in. Like, we apparently will probably see Iron Man in Doctor Strange, like a different Iron Man. It'll be Tom Cruise, but I assuming that's true. Then yeah, I don't know. Chris said
for Doctor Doom, I almost like the idea of really, like you said, Riley, really building that character, because what I would have liked to see first is either a Doctor Doom movie or a Doctor Doom Disney Plus series, really showing that character as a hero almost. And then, having whatever happened with the Fantastic Four fallout, and he kind of plays this ambiguous bad guy, or he could be a good guy. He could do whatever he wants. He's Doctor Doom. Who do you guys like in that role, though? If you're a fan casting,
I like the dude from Mr. Robot. What's his name?
Rami Malek.
Yes, I love him. I think he would do good. Now I've seen other people say that as well, but I think he would be good. I'm trying to think of some other ones.
One of my defaults is any villain. I just say Willem Dafoe. Just,
oh my gosh.
Just by default. If he's playing a bad guy, I support it, no matter what the character is, really.
He would be good. And I'm hearing he might be in talks for Spider-Man 3. So we'll see if he'll be back. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm all for Willem Dafoe.
I think for me personally, I really think Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones should be Doctor Doom. Mainly, he's that good-looking dude that something happens to his face and he has to put on that mask. I think that, and he has that kind of Eastern European kind of look to him that from that Doom can have, since he has his own like country.
That's a really good call. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually.
Look at that fan casting. Now it's going to MCU. Let's make it happen.
And I was thinking, since we haven't talked about outside of Emily, or for the Human Torch. Joe, you had talked about when they're doing like the race swapping. What if they did a gender swap and I was thinking Jennifer Lawrence for the Human Torch?
Oh, that's great.
I think if you think back to the Chris Evans one, just this full of himself, arrogant, kind of jerky, but a little bit of comic relief. I think she can nail that aspect of it. And I would, if they decided to go that route, I'd be all on board for her getting that role, especially if there's going to be a continuing series and they want the big, box office draws. I mean, she fills that part of it too.
Oh yeah.
Just remind everybody, Josh just said in the chat, he said, where did that handsome guy who was on earlier go? Where'd he go? Yeah. Hey, glad you're in the chat. Yeah, I don't know what happened with his internet or whatever. No, I like all those picks, really. I think there's so much to do. And that's why, I love Doom. He's one of my favorite villains in Marvel. I think that you can't. I don't like the way Marvel handles their villains very well. I mean,
they've gotten better in the recent movies.
That's true. That might even I'm
at the point where I'm gonna trust them going forward. I think they've earned that. Early on, definitely there was a huge problem with just the generic same old villains. But with Black Panther, Killmonger was fantastic. Thanos obviously was great. I think they've kind of turned a corner on that. It seems like.
Yeah, I also think a lot of that is attributed to those early superhero movies where you would get those one-and-done villains, and I think Marvel, at the beginning, held close to that formula because obviously that's what worked at the time. And let's be honest, they've been the one really trend-setting this whole game of the superhero genre. So it's really up to everybody else to keep up with them. And that's why I feel like this multiverse arms race is happening that we're getting, and we're all the ones that are going to benefit from it. So it's going to be fascinating going forward. And I agree with what you said earlier, Riley, is that Marvel was so dormant for such a long time. We hadn't gotten anything for a full year. And I also thought it was odd that we kick off Phase 4 with Black Widow, a character that really doesn't have that many stakes, mainly because we know the character's dead. So I found that one fascinating. And the Eternals was such a left choice pick. But I do end up, I mean, I am excited to see what they do with it. But that Black Widow stuff, oh man, Miss Marvel, I can't wait for Miss Marvel.
No,
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, this is just a sizzle reel. They didn't really show anything, but I'm just playing that while we're talking. I mean, Miss Marvel, we can talk about too.
They also, with that, now that you put the video up, he also confirmed that Miss Marvel will be in the Captain Marvel 2 movie, and he referred to her as the co-star. So it seems to be more than just a brief cameo, but that she might be actually teaming up with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel.
Okay, wow. All right, no,
this is another great way to introduce those young Avengers again.
Yeah, no, I think the young Avengers is where they're going with all this. No, I'm pretty sure. I'm confident that's where they're going because I've definitely heard things about like, oh, they're definitely leading up to Young Avengers, and this definitely confirms that because I mean, well, there's a little bit of footage, but yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton about Miss Marvel. I like Miss Marvel. I think having her Captain Marvel 2, that's great news. I'm excited about that. I heard that might happen. Glad to see it happen. With what was I going to say? Oh, people on Twitter are doing that fixed Miss Marvel thing. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that was stupid. Anyway. Some of it was. I don't, we won't get into that, but that was something that people were upset about. Anyway, no, but another show that we can actually react to the trailer if you want. What if? I know we're sort of all over the place, guys. That's
just how the night went. They came at it so fast and furious. We're just doing our best to match their energy, I think.
Yeah, that's essentially how my whole afternoon was. Is scrambling around figuring out how to cover all this stuff.
Let's watch the What If trailer. I'm excited about this.
Space. Time. Reality. It's more than a linear path. It's a prism of endless possibility.
Well, that doesn't sound ominous at all.
I'm really excited about the show.
I was promised an army.
Nothing.
You have a super soldier.
You sure don't seem too freaked out about all this, kid.
That's
what you doing out here all by yourself anyway?
Exploring the world.
Sounds fun.
Wow.
But why stop at one world when we can show you all of them?
I am the Watcher. I am your guide through these vast new realities. Follow me and dare to face the unknown. And ponder the question.
Marvel zombies.
Wow.
Man.
Give me the tour.
So
Now-
is this Chadwick Boseman's last role?
I believe so. Yeah. I believe
Wow.
so.
And then
Yeah.
what are the chances that that version of Peggy Carter we actually get in the Doctor Strange movie?
Well, I
We
thought
got-
that the What If wasn't tied into the larger universe.
It's not normally.
I thought it was just going to be kind of a here's a fun thing we can do, and it looks super fun just as a show. But I didn't think they had plans to tie those stories or characters into the live action part of the
I
series.
believe it actually does tie in. This is where it gets a little tricky because I know that originally the Winter Soldier and Falcon was going to be our first MCU television show. Now that's swapped up to being WandaVision. And from everything I understood previously is that WandaVision was going to be the thing that really kicks off this multiverse, and then What If was going to be the thing that we explore parts of the multiverse. And then in Multiverse of Madness is when we would see most of that come to life.
Yeah, no,
now that's something that I thought was happening. I'm not sure if that's actually the case.
Yeah, no, that could be. I mean, here's the thing: they could leave it and do nothing with it, or they could use it later because the multiverse could be anything. I mean, it could be any. Now, I heard that now they didn't show anything with it, but Spider-Man, or at least Peter Parker, is in What If. So Tom Holland is in What If. I didn't see him in there, but that I want to know more about what that is. Like, what is he, Iron Man? What's his angle of his show? Like, what's going on there? That's what I want to know. But no, What If looks great. I hope they do, like, this isn't just a one-off season. I hope they do more seasons because I like the What If concept. Like, just exploring.
I mean, it's one where they kind of have infinite possibilities. They do want to do a bunch of different shorter seasons. They could, they can do anything they want. If it's saying, hey, what if Black Panther is, Peter Quill, or what if, what if Peggy Carter is Captain America or Captain Britain, whichever one she was. I mean, you can just swap them in and out, switch them in and out as much as you want. So there's, if it's a hit and they do it well and people like it, I mean, that can go on, for years if they wanted to.
Yeah, and that's the thing I do appreciate about what DC is doing is they're not afraid to do things outside of their main continuity. Like, I like to see a variety of different things, and that's like Joker and one-off things that you get to explore different stories you wouldn't be able to tell in your main continuity. I hope that this is their vehicle for that, and if it works, great. I mean, I'd like to see full-length movies that are one-offs, but I know they're not going to do that. I mean, they might do it at some point, but I don't think they're going to try that, but at least we get What If.
And I'm also a big fan of that animation style. It looked really crisp.
Yeah, it's a little different. It'll set itself apart just another way. I think it looks awesome.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, definitely, and we'll see what happens. What were some of the other announcements I want to cover? Because there's just so much. Like,
I had a list up. I mean, there's just to kind of go off of not sort of order. There's a Buzz Lightyear movie. Not following the toy Buzz Lightyear, but the cinematic action hero the toy is based off of, and that's going to be voiced by Chris Evans. So he's back into the action hero genre without too much of a wait. But there was no footage of that, just a brief trailer or teaser trailer showing the logo. So watch for more news of that to come. But that'll be fun. There's a Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers series. I don't know if you guys ever watched the cartoon.
I have not.
They're describing it a hybrid live action, and this is what really gets me involved in it. I wouldn't be too much into this, but it's starring John Mulaney and Andy Samberg.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and
you give me those two names, and I'm going to be in.
Yeah,
that's a story that I'm currently working on because I have some of the character breakdowns for that film. So,
nice.
That's something that I'm working on currently.
Cool. Yeah, I heard there's some other ones that I'm particularly interested, but I'm very interested in Lightyear. I mean, I think they didn't really show anything, but the logo looks cool. Chris Evans is going to be Buzz Lightyear, like an action space adventure. Now, I'm a little disappointed in one aspect. I think this was a missed opportunity to do live action, but I understand.
I agree. I totally think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity for live action also, and I can awesomely see John Hamm playing that Buzz Lightyear role that the Buzz was going to be based on. I thought that would have been pretty cool. But look, you don't get much bigger than Chris Evans in that role.
Right.
So that movie already has $1 billion on it. So I mean, unless something changes with the way that we view movies in theaters, but that movie seems like it's going to do just fine.
Yeah,
I mean, it's also Pixar. I mean, they've got a blank check as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
There's no worries on quality for that
I mean,
one.
it might be cheaper to do animation. That might have been the reason why they decided to do it. I'm not sure. But now, some people are like, I saw on Twitter, like, if it's still Buzz, why not just keep Tim Allen? Why are they dumping Tim Allen? I don't think they're dumping Tim Allen, because there have been rumors about Toy Story 5 maybe with Storm, or other things with Buzz and other adventures. I don't think they're dumping Tim Allen. I think they want to go a more serious, action movie with this, like kind of an Incredibles type thing. I think that's why they went with it. I mean, I wouldn't have minded though if they kept. I think Tim Allen could have done it, but he might just not want to have done it. I mean, he might not have wanted.
Separate. If it's not going to be the toy, he voices the
Right,
toy.
right, but
and plus, I don't know. Not that we may want to get too deep into this part. I don't know that he's a favorite person in Hollywood these days.
Well,
and it's just an easy controversy to avoid, just to cast somebody else.
That's what I also want to bring out too, is that, and we won't get too much into this because we don't want to talk politics. But yeah, I mean, look, I think people are jumping to that. It's like on Twitter, he believes in this, so they're dumping him. I think that could play out small, but honestly, I think the biggest reason is they wanted to go in a different take. Like, I think they wanted to differentiate. I actually don't think it was a political reason, because he's always.
I think you're right.
I mean, he's always everyone's known his political beliefs, like through all the Toy Story movies. That didn't affect it at all, and so I don't know if that was necessarily, because I think if they would have cast Tim Allen, I don't think people would have been that upset. Like the general public, I don't think. I mean, maybe Hollywood would have. I don't know, but I don't think people would have been that upset. I think the biggest reason could have been he didn't want to do it, or he wanted too much money, or Chris Evans is he has that more serious voice. I think this actually is first animated voice role, if I'm not mistaken, like in a feature film, like starring as a main animated character. But I do think it's a missed opportunity. If you're gonna Chris Evans, you got Chris Evans. Guys, do live action. Seriously, that's where I'm I don't know why they would, even though I love Chris Evans. I think he'll do great in it. It'll be, again, like I said, it's probably just they wanted a different take. So they wanted to separate themselves from the toy and tell the story without all the bad. Why is Buzz doing this? No, it's not the toy. They want to make sure people get that. Now, I am a little if it's going to be animated, I really don't care. I would have been fine with Tim Allen. I mean, but if they got Chris Evans, if they were doing live action, it would make perfect sense why they wouldn't use Tim Allen, because it's Tim Allen. They need somebody who's actually going to play the part. Chris Evans could play the part. I don't know. That's just me.
Look,
but
let's be honest about it. It's Chris Evans. I mean,
He's
there's
awesome. Yeah.
If I was gonna have a movie and you gave me two actors in front of me and you said Tim Allen or Chris Evans,
Sure.
I'm choosing Chris Evans. It's what's
Sure.
gonna draw. With that being said, though, I think that it's a smart choice. I mean, Chris Evans is synonymous with action star. He's Captain America.
Yeah.
Right. But Buzz Lightyear, I mean, Tim Allen's synonymous with Buzz Lightyear. And I think they go hand in hand. I would be very surprised if we don't get a Tim Allen cameo in this movie with his voice or something. But also, speaking about the live action side of that, or even the action side of that with Tim Allen, look, he did a great job in Galaxy Quest. I'm not gonna lie, Galaxy Quest is one of my favorite movies. And
I love it. Yeah.
If we want to see a Tim Allen resurgence, let's get a Galaxy Quest 2 going.
Oh, that would be great. I would kill for that. That'd be awesome. Now, yeah, I mean, look, Chris Evans, it's awesome. What I am excited about them is Pixar is doing something different. Finally. Feels like forever. Like I want them, for longest time, I wanted them to, before Sony, like years ago, I thought, oh, they should take on Miles Morales. Like Pixar should do Miles Morales Spider-Man. That's what I was saying years ago. Now.
Oh, Sony now is their rights to Spider-Man.
Oh no, they won't. No,
that cash cow is like if Into the Spider-Verse taught them anything, it's that don't worry so much about the bigger MCU. Spider-Man's going to do just fine on its own. And look, we're now seeing all these villains getting movies. We're talking Madam Web. We're talking how many other Spider-Man villains movies? I heard that there's a Kraven movie in the works. You know what I mean? So many of these characters are so ripe for the picking that they can do their own thing, and they have their own multiverse now at this point with the Spider-Verse. So Spider-Man at this point to me feels like his days are numbered in the MCU. I certainly hope that's not the case going forward, all the way forward. I'd still love to see Peter and Miles pop up cinematically. Look, how cool would it be if Shameik Moore reprised his role in Spider-Man 3 to playing Miles Morales, like an older Miles Morales at this point, now teaching a younger Peter Parker, which could be a lot of fun too. There's so many endless possibilities they can do with that franchise. It's ridiculous.
Do you think that Spider-Man 3 is going to be the last Spider-Man movie in the MCU?
I hope not. I
feel like it might be.
I do
feel
too.
like it might be. And now the thing is with Toby in Doctor Strange 2, I mean, maybe they are still going to play ball. I don't know. I mean, they're saying Tom Holland is supposed to appear in another movie. I'm trying to find out if that is Doctor Strange 2, but so far, all my sources have said, we don't know. We don't think so. We don't know.
Same thing, Riley. I've been trying to do as much digging as you on this whole Tom Holland front and the contracts. And truth be told, I've gotten the same answer. And I've even gotten it to the point where it's like, listen, at this point now, if you're going to report anything on Doctor Strange 3 or Doctor Strange 2, just know it all can change at the drop of a hat with an inclusion of any character. So, I mean, I throw my hands up in the air with Doctor Strange 2. I try to get as much information as I can, but it's something that I don't want to dive too deep into because things can change at the drop of the hat. And you guys know this better than I do, is that if you get something wrong, you're going to be scrutinized for it. So it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. Hey, but everybody that is watching, look, it's outlets like ours, FandomWire, Illuminati, outlets like ours that are these smaller outlets, but we're breaking big time news. So this is why it's important to keep an eye out. And hey, some of these bigger outlets are threatened by us. Let's be honest about it. I'm not trying to start any wars here, but it's just a simple fact. We can break news, and sometimes they can't, or sometimes they have handcuffs on them that don't allow them to. So this is one of those situations where the news for the MCU, DC sites like ours are the ones that are really breaking those top stories.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of the trades and stuff, they don't necessarily find out things. They get handed things. So, like, the studios will hand them news to break.
Absolutely.
and that's why it's so frustrating when they steal our scoops or whatever, and don't credit because they're just getting handed stuff and they're like, no, we'll just ignore them. We'll just ignore that it was already released months ago. Like,
but you know what? We're starting to change that mentality and that culture. And this happened earlier this year. And Riley hit me up and he said, hey, listen, they pretty much stole the story. And I was like, or they didn't credit us for it. And I was like, dude, that's not cool. So we went out there and retweeted it and I got as many people I could to retweet that. So hopefully we can start seeing it change. And this is one of these things, like having us collaborate and work together. Again, we're not trying to tear each other down. This is two outlets that are just because like all what is it? The all ship, the water rises, all ships, whatever that stupid saying. Yeah. But that this is exactly what that is. We look. There's everybody's on a different website. Us sourcing each other. That's great because we all get the traffic from it, and this is making us all better for it.
Yeah, and even with the us tweeting, and we actually got a few to correct. Obviously not Deadline. Mm-hmm. Deadline ignored us, but and all their staff ignored us. But we got. It's a TV Line, a couple others that there. I was tweeting yesterday because Collider basically stole our Andrew Garfield being in. And I like Collider. I had no problem with Collider. I never had a problem with Collider, but they basically stole it. And they're like, oh, yeah, Andrew Garfield is in Spider-Man 3. It's like, and then all these outlets are crediting Collider. So I have, and that is the thing I do appreciate about Twitter is you can reach out to people very easily and be like, hey, this story is actually our scoop and our exclusive, and I'm grateful to the people that actually did respond, like Slash Film and Diz Insider. Skylar is gonna come on the podcast.
Skylar is phenomenal. I love that dude. We used to run together back when I was at Hashtag Show. So I love Skylar.
Right, and actually we're gonna talk a little bit about all your projects and everything a little bit later. But no, totally. I mean, we have to work together. But guys, definitely support smaller outlets. The outlets, they're not just trades, because the trades they're just handed info. The studio wants them to know. And I mean, look, I can't say that's a bad deal. I'd probably take it too. But, I mean, we all would. But, it's like we just want to befriend them. We don't want to bring them down or do anything like that. I know people at some of these outlets. I like them. I mean, they're cool. But, we just all want to work together and have fun. I mean, this is fun. I doing this podcast is great. What was it? Was there a... we're gonna move on a little bit here. But real quick, was there any more Marvel news? I think we got everything, right?
Marvel we got. Yeah, there's some other general news, which nothing that's super interesting. It's out there on any entertainment website you can find. There's a Mighty Ducks series starting. There's going to be, I guess, a Moana series in the works. But all the big Marvel, Star Wars news, I think we covered pretty well.
Okay. There was a Big Hero 6?
Yep. Yeah. So Big Hero 6, Zootopia, Princess and the Frog, and Moana series are all in the works.
They're all Disney Plus.
I'm assuming so, since they're series.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know why they waited so long on Big Hero 6, but I mean, to me that was like a big superhero franchise that they could have milked for many movies. Like, I love Big Hero 6. I don't know why they didn't do a sequel like right away, because I mean that's a Marvel. Even though it's very different from it's a Marvel property. They could have made the whole superhero franchise out. They could have even turned that into a animated universe with other heroes in I don't know. They could have done anything. I don't know why they didn't do a sequel right away, but I'm happy that I hope it's like in the same continuity. I know there was like another like 2D animated show on like Disney XD or something. I never saw it. I don't know what it's about. I don't even know if it follows the same story or not. But I really I'm hoping that it's like the 3D animated like basically a sequel. I hope it's a sequel to what it was. But that's basically all the news, at least the major news that we covered here. Very excited about all this. I definitely want to move on to talking with Joe a little bit about some of the stuff he's been doing. I read on your LinkedIn you actually worked for Marvel Studios at some point. You were an assistant.
And back in the inception of Marvel, I was there from Iron Man 2 to the beginning of Captain America 1. But at that point, it was like right down the street from where I lived. So it was a brand new studio. Yeah. So that's the thing. I used to work in television and film, associate producer. But in that job, I was a researcher. I got the job through a good buddy of mine, Aaron Walker, who ended up becoming the assistant to – was the assistant to? Was the assistant to somebody at Marvel. But I ended up getting the job through him. And then shortly after I left to do a little bit more reality, a little bit more television, then ended up at G4 for a while. But yeah, that's how I pretty much got my feet wet into entertainment.
Cool. And did you always want to get into this stuff? Is that?
Yeah, man. Ever since I was 12 years old, I've born and raised in Los Angeles, by the way. But when I was 12 years old, shooting an independent movie up the street from my house, and it was called Firing Squad. And we rode our bikes there. We helped out on the movie. They paid us in pizza. We carried sandbags. We did everything. But that really sparked my interest. And ironically enough, the director for that movie ended up it's a dude named Tim Story. If you guys don't know who Tim Story is, he directed the first Fantastic Four movies from Fox. So it's almost weird how that kind of came full circle for me. But after that, I went to school for film at USC and ended up with a job right out of college. And eventually, I fell into this side of it, this journalist side of it, almost by accident.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted, when G4 kind of ended, I just kind of wanted to get something kind of geek related off the ground. So I was talking to a few people at Sci-Fi, and that's where I created that hashtag show with a buddy, Josh Goldman. And then that did well for a while. We ended up selling it. It's being ran by somebody else now, and they're doing their own thing with it. And just last year, December 18th, actually, we started the Illuminati. And we've only been around a year, but it's pretty much everybody from hashtag show. They've kind of started over. It's everybody that we had then, and then we've added on a bunch of new folks along the way. But Skylar was with us. Actually, Charles Murphy from Murphy's Multiverse was with us back then. Still super close with all those guys. And now here we are, the Illuminati, and we're talking and working with you guys.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, starting a site is definitely it's not easy. A lot of people think it's very easy. And even when I started, I thought, oh, this is gonna be easy, or not easy, but I thought, oh, this is I could do it. No, it's difficult. It definitely, you learn a lot along the way, like on what to do. Especially like my first time, like it's in our early days. Yeah, we did get scoops wrong and stuff because we didn't know really what we were doing, and then we kind of grew our track record and grew to know, oh no, this is what you do, this is how we verify things, and
Right.
So I mean, it's running a site is not easy, and so what made you want to start the Illuminati then?
A couple of reasons. Number one, I knew that starting over after leaving that hashtag show wasn't going to be easy, but I already had a leg up, mainly because when I worked in television and film, I kept so many of the contacts that I had through agents, through producers, through so many of those contacts that I was able to keep. And that's how we're able to break so many stories. So luckily, I already have that kind of built in. Now, in terms of like of other outlets, it's so funny. We were talking about this, but we're talking about verifying things. And this was back when I was at Hashtag Show. We were working on a story. I want to say it was for, God, you know what? It was for something horror related, a Netflix series, but I can't remember what it was. But Joe Hill, I believe, was the one that was it Joe Hill? It was somebody that was doing it. I can't remember what the series was. But anyway, we called Netflix and said, hey, this is the information we have. Can you confirm it? They legitimately told me this. They said, we already have another journalist working on that. So can you please hold that story? Or sorry, we already have one of the trades working on that. So can you please hold that story? I legitimately said, well, listen, if I hold that story, then can we get something in the future, about this series? And they pretty much said, no, this outlet, this trade is going to be working on this, and you're kind of on your own. So we put out the story, and quickly I realized that, depending on what studio it is, they have preferences on who they want to release stories to, and I understand that. I get that, but you and I, we can't grow our outlets if we just give everything to everybody else. So hey, we got to fight for it. And sometimes it's going to ruffle studio feathers, but you know what? It gets you into the game and at least starts the conversation. So I think that, like, if I was to tell anybody that wanted to start something, and like you said, Riley, it also comes with credibility. That's how you're really able to get your name out there. And luckily, like, the one thing I'm extremely proud of at the Illuminati is, in terms of exclusives, we've only been wrong on one, and technically we weren't even wrong. We just didn't follow up the story. So it was the only story that we've currently been wrong about is Aldous Hodges playing Hawkman. Originally, it was going to be Alexander Skarsgård, but what ended up happening was that when we released a story about Alexander Skarsgård, it got so much reaction that literally Dwayne Johnson's company, $7 Entertainment, changed that. And when we saw the breakdown, then they were talking to two people, I believe. It was Aldous Hodges and Henry Golding. And if I'm not mistaken, Henry Golding passed on Hawkman, and Aldous Hodges got cast in the role. So that is the only story that we were inaccurate about. Every other exclusive that we've put out on our website has either not been confirmed yet because it hasn't happened yet, or it has 100% been confirmed. So it's just really fascinating. And I'm sure you guys get this a ton of people questioning your credibility because they're so used to these bigger outlets that are really running the game. And now that we're starting to make our mark, that's where it all really comes together. So I'm excited that we're kind of starting our own kind of like clique that can help each other out and really work on this together.
And you released an exclusive today, if I'm not mistaken. What was that?
That one was for the Peacemaker series coming out to HBO Max. That's a part of that James Gunn's Suicide Squad story. And the characters that are going to be appearing in that show are going to be Judo Master and Sarge Steele. Now, the fascinating thing about both of those characters are they're both Charlton characters, which DC bought way back when. Now, Charlton characters were Captain Atom, I believe. There was Blue Beetle, The Question. And that's originally the characters that they were going to use for the Watchmen. And then Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons made those original characters. But there were Charlton was bought out by DC, and it seems like those characters, the Charlton characters, are going to make their appearance here in the Peacemaker series. We also know that Maggie Q they're interested in Maggie Q for a role in that series. So that's going to be really interesting, and that's going to be picking up. And tomorrow we have something coming out that we're working on having to do with Netflix. So that's going to be a little Netflix story for the weekend, I guess, for Friday. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, something I learned too is that, like, with doing some of the sources, like, especially, I don't know if you remember with the whole Snyder Cut controversy with us.
Yes.
So with that one, the story, like you said, actually, people like, you were actually correct.
You were right. Yeah. Because we actually did the research on it ourselves. Yeah. Andy was completely right. He had the story because we got the same answer response back. So that story was accurate all up until it went over other people's heads. Then obviously things changed, and that's what happens from time to time.
That is something that I realized too. Is like people only read the headlines, so they don't actually they don't look into it to know, oh yeah, that was right or half right or anything. So that's one thing. Like I've been very selective of the, especially like when it comes to multiple departments, because like with the Snyder Cut scoop, like we were right in that WB did not want it. They didn't want to work with Snyder. They didn't want it to come out. But we didn't know, at least the sources, they didn't work at HBO Max. They didn't work at AT&T, and no one knew on that side that they were going to put on HBO Max. And then we did hear, like right before, like literally like an hour before it was starting to leak, we heard, oh yeah, it's coming out. We're like, oh crap. Now
I got the same thing, and even my studio rep from Warner Brothers straight up told me that it wasn't happening, and they had no idea that announcement was coming.
Right, and I had an email from a rep and they were like, no, straight up no, it's not happening. We have no plans to work with Snyder. Blah blah blah. That was the thing, and it's like people, and that's what I had to like learn too, is like that even though your sources are right, you have to look into the other side, the other departments, because they might not know the full story. Because that definitely kind of that hurt us, because then anytime, and Twitter is accessible. I'm sorry, Twitter is terrible. But even though I like parts of Twitter, it's terrible because you put something out there, and then you have these they're literally anonymous trolls, like accounts that were just made, like to troll, and they'll be like, oh, this you, and they'll have the screen cap of one of the Snyder cut or whatever. It's like, dude, that was right, like, and that's where it does like, you have to be careful. If anyone out there is trying to start out like don't jump at scoops like at first, because like when we started, we were like, oh, let's get some scoops like that John Krasinski in Spider-Verse. That's the most infamous wrong scoop, and a lot of people think, oh, you just made it up. No, we didn't. We thought we had it right. But
You did. I have a little insight on that story, actually. You actually did have that right. So if you actually look at that character, too, it was actually drawn as John Krasinski. So in the Spider-Verse, and something happened at the last minute, and that's where Jake Johnson came into this. So it was definitely going to be John Krasinski. And I think a lot of people need to realize also is that when we're putting stories out, we're putting our outlets on the line. We would be stupid to try to report inaccurately or make things up, because it's so easy to be like, oh, that was wrong, because eventually it's going to get called out. So people also have to understand, though, the nature of the business is that things change. You have to understand, when we reported on stories in 2019, we had no idea a pandemic was going to happen. And that shifted and turned Hollywood upside down. So now we're keeping up with the news that's coming out. And I think that is where we've really been thriving. Both of our outlets, actually. We've really been thriving at keeping up with the news as it's changing. And here's the thing, too, is that usually when we break news, and I'm sure the same with you guys, is that not only will we stand behind us if we're wrong, we'll stand behind the story if we're wrong. We'll say we're wrong. But also, we'll probably be one of the first ones to report the change about it. So there's a lot of things that happen and go on in outlets that I'm sure a lot of people don't understand. But in terms of reporting news, yes, I know that Riley has sources. I have sources.
Yeah.
A lot of us in this game have sources, and it's really about us checking those out. And again, things happen. Things do change. Sometimes things don't stay the same. Hell, even Umberto, and this was stated by Marvel, that there was legit, like when he reported that Hulk was going to get shot into space, and what was it, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and that was going to lead into something else. That absolutely was going to happen, but Marvel changed it because that leaked out, and that's sometimes what happens too.
Yeah, and totally, and one of the things that people have to realize, like, the reason that we got this covered, because everybody's default is, oh, we got this covered. That's their default for things, fake news. The reason they can get away with it is because they're anonymous.
Yeah.
They're anonymous, and they've already built. They didn't start. Like, I remember when we got discovered was just news. Like, they didn't make up things, and they didn't put they built it first, and then saw, oh, we could just make up things, and people just click on it and not care, and we could get away with it. Oh yeah, let's do that. Like, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. Like, I mean, but we can't because we're not. They could just hit us up on Twitter, like, or Instagram, whatever. Like, people have to realize, like, our faces are out there. It's not just like, oh, we got this covered. You don't know. I know who's actually runs it, but people don't know who's behind it. Who's doing it. So it's like, people have to realize, look, that's a difference too between, like, we got this covered and an outlet who legit puts stuff out. I mean, like, even Grace Randolph, I mean, I think, she gets stuff wrong a lot, but she has gotten some right. And, I give her credit for the stuff she got right. It's hard to get stuff right, especially, like, when we were, especially, she's a one-person operation, so I give her credit for that. I mean, we haven't always seen eye to eye and stuff, and we clash on Twitter, but it's like,
Who does it, Riley? Who does it?
Yeah, I know, true. I mean, everybody probably at this point, it's probably like a fraternity type thing. Who hasn't clashed on Twitter with Grace Randolph? No, but I mean, it's very interesting to discuss these things because not a lot of people get this side of the stuff of this business because they just see you're clickbait or a lot of people don't understand what clickbait actually means.
Exactly.
It's like clickbait is when it has nothing. When you click on it, it has nothing to do with why you clicked on it. That's clickbait. Like, so, I mean, there's a lot of things, that people have to get when these stories, they can change. Sometimes they are wrong. And, we'll say, oh, yeah, you got it wrong. Like, what was that story? Oh, this one was an interesting one. I want to hear if you got any insight in this as well. You probably heard the same thing. We put out about the Obi-Wan series. It was canceled. Remember that story?
Yeah.
All right, so here's the story on that real quick. A little inside baseball for everybody. That was a story that we had heard, hey, everybody's going home from the set. Like, everybody's told to go home. We're not coming back. There's no time. So what does that sound like? Sounds like it's canceled, right? So our sources were saying they're shutting down the set and they're saying we're not coming back. That sounded like canceled, so we put it out there, and then what we did was then we heard, oh, it's just delayed. Remember that? It's just delayed. So we updated it. The problem was nobody read the update. So it's like, so they just saw, oh, it's canceled. No. Like, the update, we jumped the gun a little bit. Sure. Right. I'll admit that. I actually wasn't there that day. Somebody else was running it. So it's on them. That one's sort of on them. But honestly, I probably would have made the same decision. We jumped the gun. But, it's like, those things happen. It's like you hear things and it sounds like one thing, like it canceled. Did you have any hear anything like that? Like with that whole debacle about the delay, but they came out later and said delayed indefinitely. That sounds like canceled. And so when we heard it, it's like, oh wow. They canceled. Well, we got to get this out because it's gonna leak. It's gonna get out there. And that's one of the things that I've learned too. Is like, guys, if you're starting an outlet, don't worry about getting it out there for other people. Sometimes you do, but sometimes you gotta go. We gotta be sure.
Yeah.
You gotta be sure. What did you hear anything at that time? We sound like we have similar. We hear similar things. What did you hear anything at that time about that?
I did a little bit. I remember hearing rumblings about it, and that's another thing too. Is I feel like there's so many, like most people that read articles are great, but there's some people that will just read headlines and then read the lines, and then with that kind of speculation out there, it's so interesting that you even said that because there's been things that I reported that then other people would like tack onto it, and that they would think that that was from our report, and that didn't end up being true. But it's like, well, that was never our story to begin with. I mean, read the story. And then draw your own conclusion. So there's a lot of that stuff that happens too. But in terms of the story you're talking about particularly, I remember hearing rumblings about it, but I don't remember a lot of backlash for it. I mean, I'm sure on your end it was a big
Definitely.
debacle.
Not so much nowadays. Like people don't bring. Oh, but we definitely got backlash after that because then it came out. The studio came out and said, "Oh, it's not now." Even with and I complained about this on Facebook too. Like the studio came out and said, "No, we're definitely coming back." It reminds me of Spider-Man 3 too, where they supposedly all these outlets, big outlets said, I won't name names, but they basically went, "Oh, it's debunked." The Spider-Man 3.
Oh, I remember that. I do remember that.
Oh, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Oh no, the studio debunked that. No, they didn't. No, they didn't, because it's happening, and it's like, that's also very frustrating too. Is just the misleading, the way people are misled. That is tough, and having to navigate and think about that is really what's your strategy when you what's your strategy when you put out like headlines, like how are people going to be misled by this, or not necessarily your headlines, but do you ever think about how it's going to play in the media?
100%. All the time now. Like I just had a conversation today about that Judo Master and Sarge Steele story, and we made a conscious decision not to include those names in there just in case things shift around. So we consciously have to make those decisions all the time. Look, it would be great to put in the title that I want to and then have everybody click it. But the truth is, and you're completely right about this, is that there needs to be a little bit of caution when running stories that nobody else is running, because so many other people are going to be reading that, and you're going to be held to the fire one way or another if a story's wrong. So there's a little bit of caution that definitely goes. I wouldn't even say a little bit. There's a lot of caution that goes into those stories like that, because, and not only that, but also studios. They are getting back to studios. They are seeing them as well to gauge what their franchise is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they're not. So you also want to keep up those relationships too.
Yeah, I mean, even though I don't have a terrible relationship with Sony, I know they were a little upset about the Andrew Garfield Toby thing coming out, but guys, like you got to do a better job of keeping your movie on. It's gonna come out, and that's why like some of these, like, I don't want to just let the trades have it. Like,
or they should be directly working with you to break that story for you. I mean, I don't understand why there can't be enough love to go around for every outlet. But like, if you're tracking that story and they're not giving you the access you need to it, I don't blame you for running it.
Oh,
because
yeah.
At the end of the day, somebody would have, and it wouldn't have benefited you if somebody else did.
Right. And it's like, and it's the thing that's so weird about studio system, is that, when you run, we'll wrap up here in a minute, but just so interesting is, even though, I know Deadline, some of them have been around for a long time, but we have just about the same amount of followers on social media they have. It's like, guys, we could get the same kind of, maybe not the exact same traction, but if you, studios, if you're listening right now, you could, by giving stuff to, smaller outlets, even though we still have a lot of followers, giving it, look, people are going to see it no matter what. I don't think it matters really who you give it to, and that's something I've never really understood. It doesn't really matter who you give it to. It's going to be big, as long as it's like a big story. It's going to be big. So
I think the studios are so trapped into that old school PR system where they give it to trades break it, and everybody else then regurgitates that news. I think that obviously studios still have that stigma about smaller outlets because they're not I don't want to say they're looked down upon, but they're not a top priority for them. And now, unfortunately, or I don't want to say unfortunately, fortunately, these trades now are having to compete with stories with smaller outlets, and this is making them get their hands dirty and actually work for stories again.
Yeah, and
if not, they're going to be broken by outlets like us.
Yeah, and it's like, to be honest, I have fun doing this. Like, people think that putting scoops out gets you a lot of money. It really doesn't. It depends. It depends on what it is. Sure, it depends on what it is. The Spider-Man one obviously got a lot of clicks, so that helped. But really, articles don't make that much money, guys. Let's be honest. They don't. They pay the bills. They keep the lights on, but they're not like, Deadline and those, they have direct contacts that they have, like, they sell the advertising. So I don't know if you probably deal with that too with some of the ad. We just have ad networks. We have ad networks, we have things like that. Just that, we don't, the scoops are, that's why it's like people are like, oh, we made it up. No, because if we did, that would be stupid. We don't make any money on those. Like, we're just doing that because we have fun doing it and we want to put it out there for fans and grow our credibility. If we get it wrong, get it wrong. It's like, I don't like people have to be so, like, smart about it. Like, on Twitter. Of course, that's just Twitter, I guess. But, it's like people, and it's like, and then they get mad when I hide their reply. It's like, guys, you're being disrespectful and not. There's a reason that if you say, I don't necessarily. If you say respectfully, I don't necessarily believe this because I never heard of you or whatever the case, I'd be like, okay, that's fair. That's fair. You don't have to believe it, but don't just go, bashing people. Or I mean, seriously, after that Snyder thing, we all got death threats. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. We got death threats for the Snyder after that Snyder. Before
Snyder Cut fans are.
Oh boy.
I mean, hey, I'm all for the Snyder Cut.
Another breed.
It's another breed.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I wanted to start. I didn't when we put it, and that was before it got debunked or it was gonna come out HBO Max. Like, we were in death threats, just putting that out there. It's like, guys, you don't understand. I want it to come out. I want to see the Snyder Cut. Like, I'm just telling you what we were told. Like, people think that because you put it out there, you necessarily agree with it. No, because I want to see a Snyder Cut. I want to see those things. But man, there's a very, and it's a minority, but it's a loud minority on Twitter, and they will just cancel you if you try to, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean,
and a simple fact of this too is that, like I said before, when we put stories out, we're not trying to deceive anybody.
Right.
We're legitimately putting them out because it's news. So the one thing that I will say about anybody that doesn't know who either one of our outlets are, you give us those questions. Look, for people to be skeptical, and that's okay. But let us prove it to you that we can deliver on the stories. That's all. Is just give us a chance, and then hopefully we'll prove you wrong or prove you right.
And that's why maybe you can do this too for your site. I created a specific page that it's basically a category page. I created a page, it just confirmed scoops. So all the things, now I'm going to have to update it now because a bunch came out. But yeah, you're gonna, all those scoops that have actually come out confirmed. you can just put it on that page and then give people the link, because that's what I've learned to do, because then people are like, oh, wow, there's like 30 things here. Oh, that's great. And yeah, have we gotten stuff wrong? Sure. But we're not going to, put that out there because, I mean, but the majority of them we've gotten right, and some of them are unconfirmed. So I'm not going to put that in the confirmed article either. So that's what you have to kind of be wary of, people thinking, well, why is this not confirmed? Because it wasn't confirmed. It wasn't. So
very much like baseball. Like, nobody's ever going to get them right all the time unless you're a trade, because you're getting it delivered to you.
Right.
But at the most part, if you're pretty accurate, that's pretty good. We're not out there trying to throw things against the wall and saying, oh, let's see if it comes true or not. That we're actually trying to put in the work and do the legwork for it.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, like, was starting over with the Illuminati, do you think that helped because you had all that knowledge of what you did before and the mistakes you made? I don't know even if you made mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes. So I mean, like, to me, that would be a big leg up for the Illuminati. Then is that?
Yeah, so it took me roughly about 6 years to build up #show to the way that I wanted it, and it took me less than a year to get Illuminati surpassing #show. So I knew enough of the tricks and trades to get there faster, but now I think the mindset's a lot different now too, because here we are in a pandemic, and I think as I've gotten older, just through doing this too, my mindset. And I think that, the collaboration is kind of where it's at. So in terms of starting over, I knew it would be a daunting task. But with that being said, it was one I was up for. And luckily, I knew that there was going to be some adversity, but I knew it was going to be a lot easier since I had already done this before.
Yeah. And what if you, last question as we close up here, and Matt, I don't know if you had any questions or anything you wanted to add.
Well, I think you guys are the guys that run the sites. You guys have a lot more of the knowledge. So I was happy to let you guys just take the wheel on this one and listen in, learn some fun stuff.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure some of the people are bored, and not for that. Some people are bored.
Total inside baseball.
Yeah, but no, it's fun for us to talk about this because not a lot of people get it. I hope there is some insight, with our complaining. I hope there is some insight in there on how to do this, and that leads me to the last question I want to ask you is, like, what advice? I even asked this when we have, like, actors on and stuff like that, when I've interviewed people like Dear Rossi and different people, like, what advice do you have if people want to do what you're doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the best way to start is honestly, obviously, if you're going to get into doing something like this, you got to be a fan of it. I mean, there's a lot of people that I've met along the way that either want to get into this because they want to interview actors, they want to get into this because they see it as a stepping stone for something else, or having a talk show, whatever it may be. But genuinely, if you have a love and passion for fandom and just kind of entertainment stuff in general, movies in general, if you're kind of like a cinephile, love it. Because and honestly, love it when you're still doing it, because I'm sure that you guys both have experienced this, where you watch so many movies or so many shows, and there's a point where it becomes a job. And if you kind of make it a job, it definitely can become a job. But I just try to keep myself as entertained as possible and try to always look at it from a fan's perspective in terms of what I'm reviewing or what I'm covering. It's hard and I remember this. I mean, in 2019, man, I was burnt out of going to conventions, Comic-Con and E3s and E23 and Star Wars Celebration. I was burnt out. So when you kind of go to those events and they feel like work to you, it's not a good sign.
Slow down.
Slow it down a little bit, rein it in a little bit, and understand that if you love this, do this, but do it because you love it, and everything else will follow. And if you're looking to get rich quick and start a website and everything's going to boom, you're in for a big surprise. It doesn't quite work that way. Yes, there's money involved, but I think people idealize kind of what we do, or they idealize and fantasize about what we do. And granted, both of us, we all show them the positive sides of this.
Sure.
People aren't seeing the back end side of this, of you setting up this stream, or
it was tough. Yeah,
right. Or the back end working on a story, or like Matt, like you were saying today, it's great for the fans, such a big news day. But for guys like us, this is one of those days that are like, oh, well, I'm going to be a computer. You know what I mean? So there definitely gets to a point and a level where you have to understand, like, yes, this is going to be work, but you can still make it fun. So that's my thing. It's like, just know going into this that there's a lot of work that goes on the behind the scenes that a lot of people just don't see. And
something I want to echo too about what you said about like burning out. Listen, I've had those times where I just felt burned out, and the great thing is I built a team, and it took me a while to find the right people. I'll be honest, it did. I did have some bad people in the midst, but we built a good team now that I've been able to relax a little bit, and so I think getting people to help you that enjoy this too, and hopefully getting to a point where you can pay them something is really great, because then they'll be able to help you and you won't be burned out. And that's a big factor, like if you're doing it all yourself, like when I did in the beginning, dude, it was exhausting. I'd be exhausted because, I mean, I don't like writing articles. And with my disability, it's even harder. It takes me a little bit longer, a little bit more fatigue. So, like, dude, I was like, we would try to put out a couple a day, but it was tough getting out articles. So, over time, we were able to get a team, and thankfully, at some point, be able to pay them. And it's nice to, because paying them, look, it does help people. It entices people to do it because, but in the beginning, it is possible to get volunteers. It totally is. People want to do it.
It's passion, man. This is how we all got into doing this, is straight up passion.
Exactly.
And I think that that is one thing that goes overlooked, is that if you have a passion for it and you really want to do this and you want to do this at a high level, there's definitely places to start, because it's not like nobody's going to give you an opportunity. And I completely agree with what you said, Riley. Is that it really building that team to getting you to that next level might be the more important than breaking any story, because getting the infrastructure of a team together and running that properly is 85% of the battle. And just like you, man, I'm not a writer necessarily. Like, I hate writing.
I'm not. I hate it too.
Getting groove of it, but that is not where my skill set really lies. I'm not. I think I'm an okay writer, but there's so many other people that do it better than I do. I'd rather put it in their hands. So, like you said, it's all about the team, and you got a great one.
Yeah, you do too, man. And I think if people want to get into this, look, something that I did, I just want to throw this in there, is, and well, sort of you did too, just you started #show, you worked at different places, like, dude, work in the places, find out, like, I worked at Royal Hollywood, although it wasn't, comic book, or it wasn't, deadline, sure, it was small, but I did learn some things from that. Not everything, because there was a lot I didn't know, but there was a lot of things I learned, and I met people through that. Not always the best people, but I met people through that, and I did make connections through that helped me when I started my own thing. So your goal is start your own thing.
Yeah, man. Like I'm still a contributor at Screen Rant. I'm still doing video interviews. You know what I mean? So and granted, I know they've had their issues, but I've had nothing but a pleasant experience there. And luckily, I've been able to have the freedom to really do my own thing. And I do my best to keep both what I do with them completely separate from what I'm doing with Illuminati. So that's the other thing too, is like, there's always places to get your feet wet, because I promise you, if you love doing this and this is for you, you'll fall in love instantly doing this. And like you said earlier too, Riley, is I'm not the biggest gamer either, but putting out articles and seeing the numbers kind of shift and kind of figuring out what works and what doesn't work, to me, that is my video game. That's fun for me to do.
Yeah. To me, I never really got. I've always been a business guy, not necessarily like a journalist guy. Like I don't really think of myself as journalist at all. Like I don't think of myself like I just think of myself as a businessman. Like that's what I've always thought. Like ever since I was 12, wanted to be in business and do something like that. So like I started a tech company at some point. I was like, oh, I want to start a tech company. Well, that didn't happen. But yeah, it was just stuff like that. It's like, that's what I want to do. So when I started this, like, it was fun. It's fun for me to start projects because it's fun. And doing this podcast has been great because it's another project that improves what we've already been doing, but it's something that is great. And that's something I'll also add as we close, is that don't get in too much of the monotony, because by doing the same thing over and over again does hurt. It hurts you. And so like me doing this, the podcast is like, I gotta keep my creative like juices flowing with some of this stuff. So it's like I gotta try different things and do different things, because if I don't, I'm stale, and that's good for nobody. So it's like that's one thing, and that's probably just a me thing. Not everybody's like that, but I know a lot of people who are like, they gotta have other projects that keep their creativeness going, and you got to think overall, big picture, like, oh, I want to grow like this, because that keeps it in perspective for you when the times are tough, because times do get tough. Even a little, even if you're just doing a blog or a YouTube channel, dude, times get tough when you're doing stuff, and whether it's even outside of your work, stress and stuff, you gotta be careful of that. But anyway, I had a great conversation. I hope you'll come back again. This is a lot of fun. Like man, this is such a good show. I wish Josh could have been with us. I know he is with us in the comments. Oh, the comments, real quick. We'll go through the best comments real quick, because we like to do that once in a while just to get engagement. Let's see. Here's a good question from Josh. Could Sam Raimi get his Spider-Man 4 with Toby after this? I think there's a good chance. I don't think it's a great chance. I think it's like 20%, 30% chance it could happen. What do you guys
at this
think?
point, it seems like anything's on the table with what they're doing right now. So I can't really put a percentage on it, but it's not zero, is what I'd say.
Yeah, I'm not counting anything out.
And if Toby is a big hit in Doctor Strange 2 and Sam Raimi is also directing it, look, that's so Sony's gonna be like, oh, we can make a lot of money doing this. Let's put out a fight, even in animated form or anything like that. That I think people would go for that, and I wish that the studios would realize, look, we could see different Spider-Man franchises on film or any character. We're okay with it. We're gonna get multiple Batman series like going on at the same time. That's okay. People can tell the difference. Like, oh, that's a continuation of the other one, or that. So I don't know. I think that could be great. I do love Tom Holland. I met him. He's awesome. He is like my Spider-Man. Even though I don't agree with all the choices they made for him, but him personally, he's Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man for me.
He embodies that character to me too.
Mm-hmm.
See, Damon is saying Marvel's going to do a lot of multiverse stuff throughout almost their entire line. Yeah, that's very true. Almost everything is multiverse stuff. Let's see. Let's see. Josh said Doctor Doom has messed up a lot. I agree with Riley. Build to him after credit scenes, make him a bigger threat. Yeah, don't waste the villains. Don't waste villains. And he said also, you're right, Matt. I saw Peggy as Captain America, but it's actually Captain Britain in the trailer. At least that's what it looks like. So yeah, I mean that's
And that would make sense with her,
Yeah.
being British and all.
Yeah. Yeah, but all right. Well, hey guys, that does it for us today. I'm Riley Johnson. You can follow me at Riley B Johnson. Josh, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Joe Luminerdi on all social media. You can find me at theilluminati.com. And also check me out at Screen Rant. I'm there too.
All right. And Matt, where can people find you?
I'm mostly on Twitter and Instagram at Matt Hambidge.
All right. And guys, you can always go to FandomWire.com. We have entertainment coverage. I'm sure we have articles about things we discussed tonight. I know we're working on lists about everything that was dropped, and man, that's going to be a tough one to do. But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff on there. Check it out. Check out our videos on Facebook with Josh. Josh does our videos every week. Do check those out. We got some exciting interviews and things that are going to happen on the podcast. So check us out on Apple, Google, Spotify, all your podcast feeds and YouTube and all those things. Just check us out on all those things. Appreciate you for joining us. It's a very long stream, and yeah, it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. Definitely.
Yeah, and next time I think we should just live stream the actual thing, the actual event. Yeah, just talk throughout the thing, because that I think would have been probably easier, and we could have just So next time, if they do this again, I'm sure they probably will at some point. Probably not for a while though, but if they do this again, we'll have to do that. But all right, guys.
Investor call would bring us something insane.
Exactly. Only Disney.
I mean, I thought it was going to be big, but I did not think they were going to do all that. That's crazy. But, well, guys, hope you enjoyed our show, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me. This has been so